אנו מכריזים בזאת
This is Barry Shaw, and this is The View from Israel. A couple of days ago, I was talking with my producer, Lawrence, in Sweden, and asking him if the news over here that Israel had been ordered to the International Criminal Court by South Africa on genocide charges was in the news in Sweden. And I was surprised to find out that it's being barely covered, not only in Sweden, but I understand some other countries as well. And I think it's such a crucially important issue, not only for Israel, but basically for the free world, that I thought I ought to come on and explain to you what the hell is going on over here. Let me put it this way. South Africa is inviting the International Court of Justice in The Hague to indict Israel on crimes of genocide according to the Genocide Convention. The sheer hypocrisy of this is astounding. In 2005, Gaza was ethnically cleansed of Jews. In other words, every Jew in Gaza was pulled out, including the Israelis who had died while living in Gaza, which at that time was becoming a prosperous, beautiful agricultural area by the sea. We even exhumed the Jewish dead and brought them back to Israel for reinterment. And yet we were told that we were causing a genocide in Gaza. We were. We were making it Judenrein, free of Jews. Now, they also claim, of course, that there's been a genocide against the population of Gaza, the Palestinian population, ever since we moved out in 2005. So I thought I'd give you a couple of statistics that I brought out. The Gaza population in the year 2005, when we pulled out, was 1.3 million. The Gaza population in 2023 was 1.9 million, some genocide. So what is all this all about? October the 7th was the answer to the Palestinian Hamas prayers, the result of 18 years of hard work and billions of dollars invested so that one day Jews will die. When we left Gaza, the whole world was invited to invest in Gaza, which they did. This was a Gaza occupied by Hamas, Palestinian Hamas. And they blew all that money, all the billions of dollars, spending 17 years with the help of the labor of the Palestinians in Gaza to build up the biggest terror infrastructure there has been anywhere in the world outside of Iran. Yet there's no way anybody condemned it. And South Africa doesn't even mention it by name in their opening statements in The Hague, which I'll be coming through in a minute. Now, just want to give you some details of what South Africa is these days. It is no longer the country of Nelson Mandela. Hamas, under the guise of the South African government, is prosecuting Israel at the International Court of Justice in The Hague on genocide charges. And this is after the genocidal attack carried out by Hamas out of Gaza against mainly civilians, Israeli civilians, on the 7th of October 2023, in which they were followed by hundreds of innocent Palestinians flooding into Israel from Gaza to participate in the killing, raping, looting, and hostage-taking of Israelis and others, including young girls, and keeping them as rape prizes for the people so that South Africa is representing here. Thousands killed, maimed, taken as hostages. And I want to give you now the pathology of the symbiotic relationship between South Africa and Hamas, which goes back more than a decade. It was cemented in 2015. The Hamas delegation, including Khaled Mashal, the leader of Hamas, was hosted by the ANC in Pretoria, where they signed a memorandum of understanding. In 2017, the Hamas Politburo members were attending the ANC 54th conference. South Africa voted to downgrade the diplomatic relations with Israel in favor of a designated terror organization. Hamas committed its atrocities, as I said, on the 7th of October 2023. Just over a week later, on the 18th of October, the South African Foreign Minister, Naledi Pandor, a lady who converted to Islam, called Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and congratulated him on the success of his operation in Israel and offered the full support of the country to their cause. I repeat, the Foreign Minister of South Africa congratulated the leader of Hamas, congratulating him on slaughtering over 1,200 Israelis, and mainly Jews, but not entirely, of maiming thousands and dragging hundreds back into Gaza as hostages. Is this an occasion for congratulations? It was in South Africa. A week later, the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, and the ANC leadership shamelessly sported Palestinian keffiyehs to symbolize support for those who had recently murdered, raped, tortured, maimed, and kidnapped Jews. In December 23, the ANC again hosted a Hamas delegation. For South Africa, in their insane worldview, the Hamas obsession for mass slaughter and rape of innocent Israeli Jews is a holy cause. But for South Africa, they are Palestinian freedom fighters in a legitimate cause and can do no wrong. And in that cause, South Africa is now waging legal warfare against Israel in the International Criminal Court in The Hague, accusing Israel unbelievably of committing a genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza, and in order to stop Israel from annihilating Hamas. And by the way, I checked some interesting South African statistics. There were in South Africa 7,000 murders and 13,000 rapes committed against women in 3 months in the latter part of 2023 under this South African government that is chasing Israel in the International Court of Justice. Imagine that. Another example of the hypocrisy of this ANC South Africa is its silence over the callous murder of 2 young Tanzanians committed by Palestinian Hamas in Israel on the 7th of October. Joshua Molel and Felix Matenga were Tanzanian students studying in Israel. They were sprayed with bullets from Hamas machine guns at very close range. They were killed, as were Thai agricultural workers, by Palestinian Hamas in Israel, one of whom was beheaded with a garden hoe. How do I know all this? Because the Palestinian killers filmed it on their GoPro cameras. Race, it seems, doesn't matter to the South African government, even if 2 black Africans, as well as several Thai workers, are slaughtered by Hamas. If Palestine, it's only Israel they're after. By the way, this is the apartheid Israel. That's what they called us, apart from the occupying or genocide Israel, that is giving vital learning experience to Africans and Asians in Israeli agricultural method, while allowing them to earn money during their studies, when instead they were savagely murdered by Palestinians that South African government supports. This is the hypocrisy of South Africa as they dress in their judicial robes to deliver justice against Israel by representing the most reprehensible Islamic terror organization in the world. Pretoria's attempt to separate this most monstrous act of inhumanity with any meaning. And it's not even subtle, it's blatant. Within a week of doing this invitation, the South African president warmly hosted the Sudanese paramilitary leader, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, in Pretoria. Now, who is this Dagalo? Dagalo is one of the perpetrators of the Darfur genocide and countless other crimes against humanity. And while in South Africa, Dagalo added fuel to the fire by making the anti-Semitic accusation that Israel was weaponizing Jewish suffering in order to deflect criticism. The South African government obsessively condemns Israel while dining with some of the world's most horrific dictators, including President Raisi of Iran, to South Africa. After the 7th of October, the South African Foreign Minister Pandor took a one-day visit to Tehran. During her visit, she also met with Raisi, the president of Iran, and spoke to the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. Was this a coordination meeting in advance of the South African application to the International Criminal Court of Justice? In The Hague, South Africa is knowingly supporting the most anti-Semitic terror organization whose charter specifically calls for genocide against the Jews. And their star witness in this trial is going to be no other than Jeremy Corbyn, the British politician who turned his Labour Party into becoming the most anti-Semitic political party in Britain since the days of Oswald Mosley, who ruled the fascist movement in Britain in the 30s. Corbyn's Labour has been so drenched with Jew hatred at all levels that the party members, some of those who had been there for 30 years and more, handed in their cards, and even veteran parliamentary members walked away from their party in disgust. This Jeremy Corbyn had taken a trip to Tunis, where he had laid a wreath at the graves of the top Palestinian terrorists, including the killers of children in a Malat school and the head of the terror organization that killed the Israeli athletes at the Munich Olympic Games. And yet South Africa is using Corbyn as one of their leading witnesses against Israel. Israel's fate, by the way, rests on a panel of judges to deliver their verdict, but with dubious, if not strong and anti-Israel bias in the United Nations. Israel has to rely on the weight of these people, judges from places like Somalia, China, Brazil, India, Jamaica, Japan, Germany, France, Australia, Slovakia, Morocco, and Uganda. I have yet to see some of these countries vote even once in favor of Israel in the United Nations General Assembly, and hence my natural trepidation for the decision that these judges in The Hague will deliver at the end of the trial. Now, it seems that Germany is making a specific appeal to the court, the International Court of Justice, stating that in no way is Israel guilty of any way infringing on the Genocide Convention. The Genocide Convention was brought into power immediately after the Second World War, when the full horrors of the Holocaust came to be, and they decreed the laws defining what genocide is. And it is absolutely shameful that today, as I'm talking to you now, a country like South Africa has taken Israel to the International Criminal Court on genocide charges while representing the most genocidal Islamic terror organization in the world. This is shocking. We need your report. If we need any more information, please contact me at theviewfromisrael@gmail.com, and I will send you the reports that I have been writing and issuing on this issue. We need your support, and we need it now. This is Barry Shaw, The View from Israel.